Okay, welcome back. We are still on EOC practice problems 1 through 20, but we're in the second half of that. EOC practice problem 1 through 20, we're on 11 through 20. All right, we'll do the last half. Just breaking it up because these videos end up being super huge. Again, I did learn that just uploading them to YouTube takes care of it. I mean, YouTube will take a 2 gig file or a 3 gig file, no problem. All right, I was just back in my day, we had to worry about that because our hard drives were this big, right? Okay, a rectangular prism has a volume and a height. I had a little trouble with this one. This one's pretty tricky because first of all, rectangular prism, you're not going to remember the area. You're not going to remember the volume of a rectangular prism, right? A rectangular prism is just a box, okay? And the volume of the box basically equals the length times width of the bottom times the height, okay? That may be lowercase. So if the height is 2x plus 1, here's how the logic works out. If the height is 2x plus 1, and I know my volume, then if I divide my volume by this 2x plus 1, my answer will be my length times the width. I don't have to solve for the length, and I don't have to solve for the width. All I have to do is divide this by this, and I end up getting my final answer, because the final answer ends up being the length and the width, which is the base of the prism. All right? So the only way I could think to do this fairly quickly is to long divide that, because we can't synthetically divide something that has a coefficient on the x, all right? Actually, you know what? We can. I forgot about that. We can divide both of those things by, well, no, maybe that doesn't work either. So anyway, I ended up just long dividing, and I know we didn't work on long division a lot. Some of you liked it better than synthetic, even though synthetic's so much quicker, but it's the only way that I know of to work on something like this. So 2x goes into 8x to the third. If we put it over the next term, goes in 4x squared times, multiply, this is a little tricky. Remember, it's Dracula's mother sucks blood, right? When you do long division. So we've divided, we've multiplied. Now we subtract, but you got to subtract both terms. So the 8's cancel when we subtract, but we got to subtract this. We end up with 10x squared. Bring down, divide, multiply, plus 5x. Subtract each term, we end up getting negative 4x. Bring down, minus 2. Divide, and since I know there's no remainder, that's as far as I'm going to go because I see my answer right here. All right? Let's check it. It is A. All right, number 12. So 9 more to go on this set. What is the completely simplified equivalent of that over that? So we're just going to factor the top. Hopefully it will factor. If it doesn't, we're in for something more complex. So what multiplies to get that? It has to get that. 4 and 3, okay? The 4 needs to be positive because I need a positive 1 in the middle. X minus 3 and minus 3 and minus 3. Those will multiply to get positive 9 and add up to negative 6. Cancel, cancel. Answer is right here. Okay? 13. We've got to subtract these things. Oh, this is terrible. All right, first of all, again, x is here, x is here. The 5 trick will work. If you're really fast on a calculator, you'd have to be because there's some complex stuff here. Plug in a 5 for x. You are most likely going to get the right answer unless by some coincidence plugging a 5 in here equals 2 or even 3 of those, but it's unlikely. All right, that's why we avoid 0, 1, and 2. All right, so I'm just going to add this the normal way. Nobody likes fractions, especially when they look like that. But I'm going to separate them, leave some space. X plus 2 is here. Leave some space because we got to get the same denominator. Fortunately, with binomials, I find getting the same denominators kind of easy. We just really just multiply them together. So if I throw an x minus 1 under this one, I have to throw it on top also. And if I throw an x plus 2 under this one, I have to throw it on top also to keep it equal. Naturally, it's subtraction, so whatever I do, I've got to distribute, which is a bit of a pain. Now I've got to FOIL that top, 3x squared minus 3x minus x plus 1 is now on top of that one, and I'm not going to rewrite that bottom because it's going to be the same on both sides. Minus x squared. Oh, that's the answer to difference of squares, so it's just going to be x squared minus 4. But that's on top of the fraction. I'm not going to write the denominator just to save time. I'm going to be subtracting all that stuff. So I'm going to end up with 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. We're still on top of the fraction. I haven't written the denominators to save time. Minus 3x. Uh-oh, that's minus 4x, because I forgot to combine like terms. Plus 1 minus negative 4 is plus 4, so plus 5 is going to be our numerator. Hopefully that's one of our answers. It is. And all that is just these two multiplied together if you don't recognize them. All right? So let's make sure that our answer is D. There it is. All right? So, number 14, simplified equivalent of that mess. The 5 trick will work. You plug in 5 here and there. Be very careful with your calculations. Plug in a 5 there, see which one is equal. But I'll work it out the hard way. All right, so I'm going to separate these items. Now, in order to get the same denominator, I can just throw a 3 minus x under this, and I have to put it on top just to keep it equal. And same thing here. If I put a 3 minus x here and I put it on top, keeps it equal. All right, let's simplify here. 6 minus 2x is on top of that one, minus 3x minus x squared minus 1. Okay? I'm not going to write my denominators because I know what it is. Now I just got to subtract all this stuff. So I end up with 6 minus 2x minus 3x plus x squared minus 1. So I'm going to put this stuff in order. I'm still on top of my fraction. I'm not writing my denominator because I know what it is already. I'm going to have a 5 at the end because 6 minus 1 is 5. I'm going to put this x squared at the beginning, and that's going to be minus 5x. Now don't forget, that's over our old denominator. So x squared minus 5x plus 5. There it is. Let's make sure the answer is C. Great thing about these being videos is you can pause it at any time. Remember, I don't care that you have the right answer when you submit this. I care that you have taken the time to work it out and really think about it. This summarizes everything we've done all year. So this is incredibly valuable for that EOC and for holding on to the information for whatever math class you might have next year. All right, here is number 15, so that's 6 more to go. Which expression is equivalent to, okay, this one isn't bad at all, to the third power. So 4 to the third is 64. I to the third is I to the third, but 64, I to the third, you always think I squared. I got to do something with I squared, I know. So I'm going to split it up into I squared times I. I squared equals -1, which just multiplies by 64, and I end up with C. There it is. All right. Again, the story on this one is a distraction. Just pay attention to what you're asked to do, all right? You're not asked to do electrical engineering. We're just going to add or subtract or multiply something. What does it say right here? What does that say right there? Exactly. Difference. And what is the difference? Brianna? Exactly. The difference is subtraction. So we're going to subtract these two. 8 plus 7i minus 5 plus 3i. Katie, why did I do plus 3i if I'm subtracting? Exactly, because I'm subtracting that whole binomial and I've got to distribute. I just went ahead and took away my parentheses and changed all the signs for quickness, to be quick. Plus 10i. That should be D. Let's double check, make sure it is. Yep, there it is. All right, 4 more to go. Which expression is equivalent to this times that? So we're just going to do our old distribution, but you know, obviously this is Algebra 2, so it's not just distribution, it's using your radical properties and actually distributing everything. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to work with the negatives first, all right? So I'm going to end up with square root of 24, positive 24, minus the square root of my negative 18, okay? I'm going to split my 24 up into 4 times 6, take the square root of 4, remember, pull it out, take the square root and pull it out, minus, and then I'm going to turn that into negative 1 times 9 times 2. Square root of negative 1 is I. Cross it out and pull it out. Square root of 9 is 3. And that's probably going to be my final answer because these are not like terms. They'd have to have the same square root to be like terms. So 2 root 6 minus 3i root 2. I'm going to go with C. Careful of your signs. The real trick to this problem and the reason that they gave you a problem like this is so that you be careful with your signs. All right? Let's double check and make sure it's C. Oh, it's D. Wow, how'd they get a negative? How'd they get a negative 2? All right, hang on. Let's get my work back. Ooh, wow, almost lined up. Square root of I'm not seeing why it should be minus negative 2 root 6. Because negative 6 times negative 4 is positive 24. I'm not seeing why it's not C. All right, we'll put a pin in this one. We'll have to ask somebody about that one. That one should be C, although it's possible that I may have put the answer in wrong. You know, I created these Google Forms and that answer could be wrong. All right, so let's take a look at that. Remember that one, number 17. Number 18, what does product mean? Tell me what product means. Colby? Yes, exactly. Product means multiply. So I'm going to just multiply these things together. I've got an I in there, so what's that I going to tell me, Aaliyah? Right. Anytime I have I squared, it's negative 1. I'm really impressed with you guys answering the questions today. Really impressed. You guys are on. And I like the fact that I'm able to call on students from 3 different classes all in one video. That's pretty exciting. Okay, let's go. So 10 outers minus 8i inners plus 15i. Remember, I works just like a variable unless it's squared. Minus 12i squared. There's my I squared. It multiplies by the 12, the negative 1, and then I end up with 22 plus, that's a 15, my 5s look like 6s sometimes, plus 7i. 22 plus 7i. So we're going to go with D on that one. There it is. What is the completely simplified equivalent? This is another thing we did not talk about much. To simplify a complex fraction, basically, you got to multiply. We didn't do these. I don't think we did these in class. But the trick here is we got to multiply the top and bottom of that fraction by what's called the conjugate of that complex number. So 5 minus I, there it is. So I'm going to multiply the top. 2 times 5 is 10, Mr. Pierce. And then I'm going to FOIL this bottom here. So I get 25 minus 5i. Minus 5i plus 5i, those cancel. I end up with minus I squared. I squared is negative 1, so minus negative 1 is plus 1. So I end up with 10 minus 2i over 26. But that'll cancel a little bit. I can factor a 2 out of this top, or I can just cross out 2 in each term. When I say cross out, I mean divide by, minus I over 13. So let's see if that's one of our answers. It is number C. Let's make sure that that answer is C. Yep, there it is. All right, one more, and this one's a super easy one. Remember, we've talked about transformations. By the way, you have a calculator, so you can always just plug that in and see which of these answers matches what you see in the calculator. But the quickest way to do it, obviously, is just to remember your rules. We learned the standard form, or is that vertex form? It's vertex form. Vertex form of a parabola it looks like this. The parent function is just the regular basic parabola, which just goes, at 0, 0 like that. And then when you have vertex form, it's opposite, same for the vertex. So we're shifting to the right 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and we're shifting up or down 0 units because there's a 0 out there. So we should be at number part D here. Let's double check that. Yep, that's it. All right, I'm going to start 21 through 40 here in just a minute. Thank you for paying attention, and hope everything's going well. Remember, you must show your work when you turn this stuff in.